Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Hari Hari Bol Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Oh Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari 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 Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashoda
Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunjavi Hari
Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari
Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunjavi Hari
Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gaura
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana
Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari
Jaya 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 Kunja Vihari Jaya
Kunja Vihari
Jaya Kunja Vihari
Jaya Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava ki jai. Shri Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra ki jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda ki
Ki
jai.
jai.
Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari Ho.
Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, we would like to welcome everyone to our Sunday Love Feast program here at Hare Krishna Study Center. Welcome to all those who are joining us, especially on our virtual platforms. It's very encouraging that you all are participating and being part of Srila Prabhupada's famous worldwide Sunday Feast. So already quite a bit would have happened through the program. Guru Puja Tulsi Arati, very melodious and ecstatic kirtan. And we'd like to continue with in the mood of observing more and more the 5th anniversary of our Mandir Pravesham ceremony here at Hare Krishna Study Center. So as many of you would have recalled, last Tuesday we had a wonderful program, and today would be no different. We're going to continue in that mood, in recollections and sharing memories and so forth. So we'll be hearing a presentation, a pre-recorded presentation by His Grace Rupa Goswami Prabhu, and many of you would have remembered that Prabhuji would have been the head priest for the ceremony that was conducted here at the temple. The temple opening ceremony, he would have organized the yagyas, the priest, and the entire thing, and he would have personally performed the yagya. So you'll be hearing a presentation from him, and afterwards, we have a surprise for you. So I wouldn't tell you what's the surprise. We'll keep you in some anxiety. After Rupa Goswami's presentation, we'll see what's the surprise. So Hare Kirtan, can we have Prabhuji on screen? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas. Dandvat pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuramalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyareshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you very much for this opportunity on this glorious occasion of the 5th anniversary of the opening of the Hare Krishna Study Center of Georgetown, ISKCON of Guyana in Georgetown. That event was a very, very momentous event, and I was blessed by the Vaishnavas there. With the opportunity to do some service, to serve all of you and to serve this great project. So I was asked by His Grace Prabhupada Dev Prabhu that I should say a few words. So I'll just try to speak a little bit about what I recollect of the events, starting with number one, when I was first told about the wonderful project by Prabhupada Dev Prabhu and his family. We met in Panama on the event, the auspicious occasion of Sri Jagannath Rath Yatra. And that's when he first, told me all about this beautiful project. And he then asked me if I can, arrange to perform the Mandir Pravesham, the opening of the center, and to do all of the auspicious rituals, etc. And I felt that this was a really, really great blessing and a great opportunity given to me to offer this service. So I really, really humbly accepted and that was it. We tried our best to then start making all arrangements. The first arrangement was to look for an auspicious muhurtam, an auspicious day for opening the center. I'd started my research, and I thought it was such an important event that I even spoke to my teacher, who also helped me. I gave my suggestions, and she also helped me, to decide finally which would be the date, which happened to be 8th of June, 2016. And that was presented to Prabhupada Prabhu, who graciously accepted it. And then all systems were, going in order to quickly arrange everything, which was a lot of work, obviously. It always is for that grand opening. And arrangements were made for my journey to Guyana, came to Guyana, and when I first arrived, like in all, Hare Krishna events and festivals, etc., things don't seem to be actually ready. And that's exactly what I thought when I saw the the preparations. I thought that there was so much work, and it was just a couple of days before. And I thought, this is so much work, but always devotees, by the grace of the Lord, are able to put together a wonderful presentation for the Lord. And very, very quickly, within that same couple of days, everything was in place. So much work went into it, but everything looked so beautiful. Mother Vishaka, she was in charge of procuring all of the items that we needed for the ceremony, which were a lot. And they got a lot of these items from India, and then procured a lot of items also locally in Guyana. The preparations of the Yagya Kunds and the Yagya Shala, the place where the sacrificial events would take place, took quite some time to arrange. It was very, very grand, and I'm sure you all will see photos of it. And but all of the devotees, they put their hands together. They sacrificed a lot. One of my chief assistants was Shuddha Prem Prabhu, and he really, really helped a lot, even though he had some very important exams, and I was a little bit worried about him and his exams. But then I quickly realized that there's nothing to worry with respect to Shuddha Prem and examinations, etc. And we arranged everything. The 7th of June, we had the Adivas ceremony, a wonderful Adivas ceremony, at the residence of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Nitai Gaurachandra. And this is presenting the Lord with many auspicious items on the day before a ceremony to invoke auspiciousness. We had items like, even dirt from the Ganga, and vermilion, and different types of lamps and different types of flowers, etc. All offered to the Lord with Vedic mantras, invoking the blessings and the benedictions of the Lord before we actually, start the official proceedings. And then the next day, everything was very, very hastily prepared. Hastily, but very, very carefully and meticulously prepared for the transferring of the Lord from their previous home and to the center, especially at the right time, the auspicious time that was set, which was somewhere after 2 o'clock. Because when I just looked at it again, it was Panchami Tithi, the auspicious lunar day of Panchami, the 5th day, which is ruled by Mahalakshmi. On the Pushyami Nakshatra, which is considered of all the nakshatras, one of the best nakshatras, because this nakshatra is a nakshatra which is for nourishing. It's ruled by Brihaspati, the guru of the gods. And it's especially chosen for nourishing. This is what this center is meant for. It's meant for nourishing everyone in the community, but especially the students, because this is Hare Krishna Study Center. So all of the students that are having their education at the university, that they can also take up to spiritual education. It was also Dhruva Yoga. So we were very much trying our best to ensure that the Lord sits on his Simhasana at the time of the Muhurta, because Dhruva means steady, sturdy, immovable, just like the Dhruva Lokam. It's immovable, it's indestructible. So the Lord was placed on his Simhasan at the exact time, on his throne, that he is the Lord and the Master and the controller of this Hare Krishna Study Center. And that itself was such an auspicious event. And after that, we had the Vastu Puja. Vastu Puja is worshipping that deity, which is given by the Lord the jurisdiction over all buildings, and his puja is supposed to be performed before a building is built as well as after a building is built. And we had that elaborate Vastu Puja where we invoked him in a mandala, a beautiful decorated mandala, and offered puja and asked him, to make this structure strong and let it be steady and let it give shelter and protection to everyone and let it serve the Lord. Let it serve their Lordship, Sri Nitai Gaurachandra. And then we had wonderful Homa, which is the fire sacrifices with 4 priests and different Yajamanas, those who have, contributed a lot to this project. They were all given the opportunity to make offerings into the sacred fire, all of the sacred fires being the tongues of Lord Vishnu. And we chanted various Vedic prayers like Pancha Suktam, which are all prayers from the Vedas, which are directly linked to Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Sriman Narayana, and is in glorification of the Supreme Lord, and invoking the presence of the Lord in that building to be fully present there and to bless that building. And we then also had worship of the different Vaishnava Acharyas, because we are nothing without the Vaishnava Acharyas, we are nothing without the Parampara. And we sought their blessings through prayers, which were offered in the Vedic fire sacrifice also. And then we did an Abhishekam of their lordships. Whenever the Lord is moved into a new residence, we have different rituals to welcome him. Srila Prabhupada actually says that when a deity is installed, that as many as of the upacharas, we have 64 different items of worship that are supposed to be offered in the temple. We generally offer 16 daily. And Srila Prabhupada said, especially on the day of the installation of a deity. So this was a type of installation because we are inviting the Lord to come and reside there. He had to offer as many of these as possible. So as we know in the story of Lord Jagannath and the Jagannath temple, that the minute you see the flag and the chakra of Lord Jagannath, you remember the Lord, and then you should pay obeisances. So in the same way, this chakra is there for everyone to see from a very, very far distance. And when they see this chakra, they could immediately remember the Lord. And by remembering the Lord, we get all protection and we get all mercy, all grace, and all great blessings. And that chakra is there, invoked, because the chakra of the Lord is also a personality, and he's protecting this wonderful Hare Krishna Study Center. The chakra also represents activity and action, and the Shankha represents knowledge. So that chakra is there, invoking action in the form of service to the Lord. And the Dwaja also, this is the flag of victory, that we understand that anytime we see this, we know that, wherever the Lord is, there's always victory. Wherever there's Krishna, there's Arjuna, there's always victory. So there's also a little bit of a note. I was just looking at Srila Prabhupada's statements about education. And Srila Prabhupada said, our Krishna consciousness movement is not depriving people of their education. We say, go on with your university education, but side by side become competent to know God and to love him. Then your life is perfect. So this study center's main purpose is to add that very, very essential factor to the lives of not only the young people and not only the students, but of course it's a study center, so it's geared towards, you know, students and youths that are taking their education to also come and add this very, very vital part to everyone, to their lives, and that's spirituality. Because if one doesn't engage in one Sanatan Dharma, which is our eternal relation with the Lord, which is in the form of service, eternal service to the Lord, then one is just like a dry leaf which is cut off, you know, from the tree, because the tree is Krishna and we are those little leaves. And only when we are connected to the tree in that Sanatan Dharma, that eternal devotional service, as Rajarshi Prabhu always say, Bhakta performing bhakti to Bhagavan, then it's just lifeless, it's just useless. So I think that this is truly the arrangement of Nitai Gaurachandra, Lord Sri Krishna, to give mercy to so many people that can make a great, great difference in the lives of others. You know, people, students who go to the university, naturally, they are going to take up very wonderful positions in their careers, etc. And if they have this spiritual life added, then they can also make their own lives perfect and share that with others and help to make others' lives perfect. So it's a very, very important project, and we cannot stress, you know, how much important it is. So I just wanted to leave you all. I don't know if I overspoke because it's just a few words he asked me to say. But I just wanted to leave you all with a wonderful prayer that I recently found. As we understand in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, that Lord Narasimha is the protector of the Sankirtan movement. And the Sankirtan movement is not only just chanting Hare Krishna in Kirtan, Harinam, which is obviously, that is the Sankirtan movement, but also the distribution of spiritual knowledge and the distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books, which is called the Brahmaranga. And we understand that Narasimha Deva is the protector of that Sankirtan movement in all ways. So I will leave with a prayer that, as I said, I recently came across for protection from Lord Narasimha Deva. This prayer is the Shri Narasimha Mala Mantra. And what a Mala Mantra is, there are several Mala Mantras to Lord Narasimha. But a Mala Mantra means it's a mantra which is comprised of 108 syllables. So I'll just chant that prayer. And that prayer, I'm trying to invoke the blessings of Lord Narasimha on this wonderful center, on this great 5th anniversary. And maybe we should get to the 100th anniversary. Of course, I wouldn't be present, but whatever generations to come of this center. And this center should make many, 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 many devotees. And may Lord Narasimha protect all of you, bless you, guide you, and nourish you, and see that this center, all the obstacles in the path of this centers being a success, may they be removed. So I'll just chant that prayer now. Om Shram Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Hiranyakashipu Bhakshastharanaya Tribhuvana Vyapakaya Bhuta Preta Pishacha Shakini Dakini Mulon Mulanaya Stambhodbhavaya Samasta Doshan Hara Hara Vitara Vitara Pacha Pacha Hana Hana Kampaya Kampaya Om Hrim 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 Bhat Bhat Tam Tam Ehi Rudragya Pataye
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama.
So the meaning of this mantra, the translation of this mantra is, I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Narasimha, the one who tore asunder the chest of Hiranyakashipu, the one who pervades the three worlds, the one who uproots all spirits, ghosts, goblins, both male and female, demons and cannibals, the one who burst out of the pillar. O Lord Narasimha, destroy, destroy all evils. Dash, dash, burn, burn, kill, kill, quake, quake. O my Lord, pow, 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 crack, crack, blast, blast. Please come near, O Master of Fury. Hail unto the Lord. So I hope you like this little prayer, and may you all be blessed. And I'll just leave you now. Thank you again. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryan Karavavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvijavahi. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. And in conclusion, maybe some might ask, why do we say Om Shanti 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 3 times? And maybe you've heard different explanations of that, but we understand that this world has 3-fold miseries. And we have the Adhyatmic, the Adibhautik, and the Adidaivika kleshas. And I know all of you know what the meanings of those kleshas are, and if you don't, well, I'm sure you'll find out very, very quickly. But we say Om Shanti, 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 so that may there be peace from these different kleshas. So Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada, and thank you again, and all success to all of your endeavors. Thank you. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, Dandvat pranams to all of you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, so that's a wonderful presentation by Rupa Goswami Prabhu. So we're very grateful to Prabhuji for sharing so nicely of his experience and from his side what went on, his memories of that historic event, the Mandir Pravesham ceremony here at Hare Krishna Study Center. So as we said, we have a little surprise for everyone. Normally during this time it's a presentation. Most of the time it's like one person will give a presentation. But today morning we came up with this idea of having an interview instead. Hari Bol! So hope this will catch your interest. It will be very exciting for you. So we'd like to welcome those of you who are tuning in a little late, especially on our Zoom platforms. Thank you all for joining in. And for this morning's interview, we have with us His Grace Prabhupada Prabhu. Welcome, Prabhuji, to our interview this morning. And our topic for discussion will be on the Mandir Pravesham ceremony itself, the moving over of their Lordship Shri Nitai Gaurachandra, and what went on, and even much more leading up to what is going on presently. So, as many of you would know, Prabhuji has been someone, first of all, during the construction, he was like the project manager, and that was here at Lot 1, overseeing the construction of the project, and then of the temple, and then simultaneously managing the operations of the temple. That time, Nimai Pandit Study Center, that was at Lot 13, the very humble and beautiful setting over there. So simultaneously that was going on. So pretty much he was a person, you can say, behind the scene at times, in the scene, above the scene, out of the scene. So who else, who can be a better person to ask or to hear from of what went on in those years, 5-6 years ago? So that's why we are here. We have invited Prabhu to this interview. And firstly, we would like to hear from you a little of leading up to the moving over and Mandir Pravesham ceremony. I can remember a lot was going on. So we'd like to hear from you, like, what are some of the things that was going on here at the construction site, and then also how was Sunday program, how was whatever was going on at Lot 13, where the daily operation of the temple was. Can you give us some glimpse of what those times meant and what was going on?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Sachisuta Prabhu. Om Gyanatamidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshadandaltam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvaya Namaha. Yes, for many of us who probably had experiences of maybe building our own home, and while living, been living at, maybe some other place, or maybe in a rented place, but gearing up to, let's say, build, construct, complete, moving into a new home, we probably will be able to relate to a lot of what went on. So as Sajisuta Prabhu were asking, what are some of the things that took place? First of all, I will say it was quite some anxiety. It was, we set a date, and if you probably remember some of the pictures that you saw last Tuesday, you would have seen that probably, the building was looking less than half complete. So a massive project like this, you set a date for opening, and you invite so many people from all over. You invite overseas devotees and, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, who you just heard from, and trying to gather all the pieces together, all the paraphernalia that is required, and carry on the daily operation at the same time with construction, and also the humble setting of the temple at Lot 13 was quite an experience. Was one of the things that stand out in my mind leading up was the amount of anxiety we were taking for Krishna, or their Lordship Sri Sri Paramakarana Nitai Gaurachandra, to first of all complete the altar, and that at least the Shringasan and the altar is ready, and to get inside, secondly, to get inside the temple room here ready, or at least complete to a level that it is livable, or it is doable in the sense that we can carry on functions. At Lot 13, where the deities would have resided, nothing much were going on other than the daily worship, and the mood was, praying to the Lord and begging their permission and their blessings to see that everything happen, take place nicely, for them to journey or move across to Lot 1, from 13 to Lot 1. So that was, there were lots of work. You can believe it or leave it. There was lots of work, night and day work. And in every constructions and finishing up, we may not able to get it to the ideal level. So there were dissatisfactions in between that, we weren't able to really present, the whole vision or the whole plan, the whole idea that we had. So all these are things that was going on, dealing with workers on a daily basis, getting final touches, designs, and paint, and all that was quite a bit.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So some technical difficulties are always there in between. No surprise for us, basically. So I like very much you were mentioning about taking anxiety for Krishna, and even that also ended up at times where we are having some dissatisfaction in one another, because of the amount of services to get done in such a short time. So indeed it was a very pressing time for many of the devotees, and it wouldn't have been possible without all of your inputs and dedicated, wonderful service actually. So leading up to the occasion as well, I do remember that things at some point in time, maybe like a week or a few days before the actual day, which was the 8th of June 2016, things actually pick up a lot of pace, basically. Things were happening very fast, And for some of us, it may seem that it was a hurry. So, like I remembered even the night before the Yagya, it was so like, what to say, confusing. Devotees running helter-skelter, so much rush to get all the paraphernalia, all the items required for the Yagya. Even the Simhasan was installed, was put into the altar that evening, late that evening. So, what can you say? Was there actually a rush or a hurry, or what was the mood? What was happening?
Yes and no. The idea is that when you fix a date, you set a date for anything, there may be some things might appear to be last moment. You know, even if you're going on a journey, you're going on a trip, you may be planning a whole year or months or weeks before or days. But sometime, you know, last moment, you know, it seems to still be in some anxiety and rush. You know, now you have to get this, you have to get that, you have to carry this for that one, you have to carry for the other one. Like everything else, that was the mood. We had an auspicious date to work towards, an auspicious timing and date, as you just heard from Rupa Goswami Prabhu, to work with. And do or die for us, that was it. We had to reach the goal. You know, so the apparent rush that was there was all part of the service to their Lordship. All the rush and anxiety that everyone extended, so many devotees, workers, and helpers, volunteers, everyone were taking, was all part of devotional service. They were all, like what you say, it became shared anxiety. It wasn't like one person were taking on anxiety anymore. It became shared anxiety where so many persons collectively were now, imbibing the whole mood of moving over the Lord and see that, everybody wants to see that, everything was in place and, and ready for the ceremony. So certain things, like for example, when you saw pictures of the whole setting in the temple room, a lot of it was like fresh paraphernalia, were fresh ingredients, or like fresh mango leaf, lotus flowers, banana trees, and coconuts, and so many different things, fruits and everything. So it's not like, any of those things could have been placed, a week before or from so many days before the whole Yagya Kun and everything. Otherwise, everything would have looked very stale and not so attractive. I hope that Hari Kirtan and, then could have shown some pictures, what was the settings, just to refresh, what was the setting in the temple room. The cooking also, the kitchen area and cooking and arranging to serve prasadam, because at that time the prasadam hall area, the ground floor, wasn't complete, but the cooking was another area and serving. All that had to take place on that same day. And moving the Lord from Lot 13 to come over here, everything had to happen on the same day. So apparently many people probably saw it as a rush or too much anxiety, or maybe it's too much pressure for some people. But no matter when we did it, I don't see that, it would have been much of a difference.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. So I was thinking also that generally when we have to do things, services or certain tasks, sometimes we think we have all the time, but when we have to work with a deadline, it's much more, we have to keep going, whatever it is, we have to keep going. And even though it might feel pressuring, but it's all, as Prabhu mentioned, the date and the time this event will be executed was of great importance. It was very significant, and it has a huge impact on the project for many, many years to come. The date and the time that the ceremony was supposed to be performed. So that was wonderful to hear from you of that aspect. I saw also that for the Yagya settings, I saw that there were items that like were outsourced from different places. I also saw devotees from all over the country was here, and then there was a bunch of volunteers assisting with men to get things together. So why was it done in such an elaborate manner? What was the intention? Why it was done with such great endeavors?
Yes, generally the occasion is a joyous occasion. It's like any milestone in anyone's life. If somebody reached 25, 50, 100 years, or if a company is celebrating their 20, 25th, 50th, just like that year Guyana was celebrating, 50th anniversary. ISKCON was celebrating, 50th anniversary since, Prabhupada would have came to the West and register this society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And the whole idea or conception or vision of the project here, as we can all see, it wasn't like another village mandir. It was another, small something in a little corner. It is just here at the junction of the University and College of Guyana, 5-10 minutes drive out of at the outskirts of Georgetown. And it is central. It's an important project. It's massive endeavor. So the idea of a project like this is to encompass and to involve as much people as possible. So we were going and asking all ranks of people, all levels of people to contribute towards this project, for example. So that would have been a special occasion to bring the people, right? To give them an opportunity to see what was happening, see how their money spent, see what went on, and to become also excited about the project, and more so, the idea was to get the blessings, the well-wishing hearts of the people.
So I thought that was wonderful. You mentioned how about so many persons would have been part of the project for many years, even before that ceremony or that occasion of the mandir provision, the temple opening. How they would have been part of it is through their contributions, maybe giving some self-help, contributing in the form of materials. So many persons throughout the country and even abroad were already integrated in the project through that phase. And definitely it was great to have their presence, their participation, and to have their blessings on that day, because that was the actual day that their Lordship is going to, enthrone their wonderful, beautiful Simhasan. So that was very amazing to see the vision of the level that devotees were thinking here, and how it was an all-embracing project. Not just another regular building, but a project that will be beneficial to each and every one of us in Guyana and even abroad. So thank you for sharing that and explaining that. Throughout the entire day of celebration, let's say the actual day when it was in the morning, the deities were invited to come over, and the actual procession, there was like a kind of padayatra procession was done from lot 13. Many devotees, there was ecstatic kirtans, and all the priests were there also, bringing their lordships in a parade form, coming in front of the new temple here, and then some rituals were performed in front there as well. So all these, what went on, I guess many of you would have been there, would have witnessed it personally, and also with the last day and last on Tuesday when we would have shown the video presentation, you might have saw that as well. And then actually for the deities to come forward, and there was an Abhishek ceremony being performed, and then later on they were taken inside and dressed, and there was Grand Artik and all that. So what would you consider to be like one of the most memorable out of the entire thing, the Jagya and everything that went on that day, what you consider to be very special and most memorable to you?
Wow, that's quite a bit. There were so many things, so many special moments. The day, even the evening before, as Rupa Goswami Prabhu was saying, the Adivas to the whole ceremony, that was on the 7th evening at Lot 13. And more so the whole day of the 8th of June would have been quite something for the whole day. One of the most memorable thing as a leader, as a manager that I can remember is constantly keep thinking of all the different areas. Constantly remembering and thinking of all the different areas, thinking about the cooking, about the invitees, about the whole setting in the temple room, and about the time, the deadline that we had, 2:05 to begin the ceremony. So that was like, some of the constant anxiety or memorable thing that I can remember throughout the ceremony, even though I was one of the priests sitting there. Still, my mind was, wondering, when you saw the whole temple room full with people, is there, is it that there were enough prasadam? Is it that, all the guests, because the ceremony went on for hours, people were leaving at different time. Is it that, everybody were being taken care of? So these were all memories directly in the ceremony though. I rate it, as you heard from many of the devotees, Shantavikara, Rajrishi Prabhu, and even our dear Kratu Maharaj, who was here. The yagya, the whole arrangement of the yagya, and that whole activities for that couple hours, that created such an impression in my mind that it was like a dream. It was like, you were transported to a different realm, on a different level. And it was like one of those, transcendental activity that you cannot believe that you were part of it, that you were there, you were in it. It just happened. And, how it happened, how everything was so organized and put in place, you just cannot think or cannot understand how really it happened. So that was something, extraordinary. That was something for me, among all the memories that I have, that was the most touching, the most memorable activity that, took place on that day. Even though for myself and family, was a bittersweet experience. It was chutney-like for us, because for many years, from 2009 January, when their lordship would have been installed, we went to India, Mayapur, and bring them here and install them. They were living, or we were living in their home. For the rest 2 years, 3 years that we were here, and then 5.5 years in Lot 13. So the idea was that the bittersweet was that although we were happy that the Lord was going to the new, this home, a beautiful home here at Lot 1, but the bittersweet experience was that now the Lord were going to leave our home also. And for me, it was the first time since I would have joined the movement, I would have lived in or around the temple, and it is, for the first time that I was going to, let's say, living out of the temple, so to speak, of even though it is just 3 houses, 3 houses away.
So wonderful to hear. And so as you were speaking, I was just thinking so Prabhu was saying that's like a bittersweet moment for them, that the Lord is, is moving and coming to their new temple, but still they will be very close. But for me, if I'm to put myself in that shoe, I will say that, like, as the Lord was coming over, they were dragging me with them also to come over here. Because when I joined the temple, this was just a foundation slab was here basically. I joined when I came. I was staying at lot 13, but then in 2016 when the lordships came over here, I was one of.
You move with them.
And another thing that I was reflecting also, that generally when we have festivals like Hare Krishna, it is said that it is ISKCON almost every day is a festival, and that's not a new experience for us. So I was thinking, like you were mentioning, that it is like one of the things that you remember very clearly, like how much you were thinking, how everything will be, if everything will be on time, if everything will be in place, if the ceremony, everything will go smoothly, and if all areas, pretty much if all the departments, all the areas are covered. So I was thinking, like, when we have to do festivals, let's say for Ratha Yatra, many times we have many different departments, no doubt, but generally we are usually part of one of the departments. And sometimes we are not even the head, we are not even like the person who is in charge of the department. Sometimes we just have to follow. We just have to execute basically. And just to execute and do our service, sometimes that becomes a problem. But now you're telling me that I have to think about all the other departments and see that things go on simultaneously. What that means, I can't put myself in that shoe or try to imagine what that means. So,
well, I wish you become a manager. I wish that everyone becomes a manager at some point in time, and then you will know what does that means, what that entails, what it feels like. So the idea is that when you take responsibility, of overall leadership, that is the package. That is what it comes with. It comes with a package. It comes, and provided how responsible you want to be, or how responsible you feel. For myself, I think when I reflect is that whatever I set out to do or were told to do or take up as a service in Krishna consciousness, as far and as much as I can remember and I can think, is that I give everything. I imbibe it fully, and it's like it becomes part of me, and I cannot avoid it. Just like, for example, we are having this conversation here, and just to give you an example, we are having this discussion here. A part of this discussion, if somebody look and see that I was looking around, so I was thinking, Radhakishore and some other people in the temple, in the kitchen, they should have been here in the temple room. So that's like, an example of thinking all wrong, what is happening. So when you imbibe it, when you imbibe the spirit and the mood, it becomes natural that, you'll, because how long it takes, some people think that, well, it takes forever, but how long it takes for any one of us, because the mind, is said to be faster than the wind, right? The wind that is passing here right now cannot reach Essequibo, but your mind can reach Essequibo, for example. So the thing is that your mind goes faster than the wind. So how long is it that sit down here and think quickly, what is going on at Lot 13, what is going on with the pujaris, what is going on with the cooks, what is going on, with somebody who have to bring some flowers, what is going on with somebody who have to get the altar ready or get the temple room ready, or it doesn't take for me, in a practical sense. And then if, while reflecting and keep thinking like that, then if I think that, well, okay, that person I'm supposed to follow up with, or that person had need some help, so then immediately we can give attention to that. Immediately you can give attention to that. So it is a good question that you're asking, and it is an area definitely that in the movement and in our personal life, even in our family life, we do have glitches, we do have problems with that, and then sometimes also we do not see what the other persons are doing. Sometimes when we are in our little, little jagat or an old little corner doing our little cleaning or little cooking, and we think that we are working more harder than everybody else. I'm doing too much. And nobody else is doing like me. But, when you see back the video now and you saw that what everybody had to do to make this offering, then we should become humble. And we should, with folded go to all those devotees and really glorify them, appreciate them and thank them. Prabhu, if it wasn't for you, we couldn't have made this offering. We couldn't have really present, something to this magnitude.
I think it's very inspiring for me because, you see, like Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada has established this society in such a way that we all have the opportunity from time to time, and it depends how serious we are with our Krishna consciousness, with our practice and all that, that we can have opportunities to serve in a variety of ways. And from that, also we can able to learn to appreciate the service of other devotees when we ourselves are put to serve in certain situations, in certain areas that we are not expert at. So I think like from what you are mentioning, it takes some level, and also it will take time in terms of like that particular area. A lot has to do with the management aspect, and that comes a lot of it comes by experience, I would say, because you have tons and tons of experiences in those areas and from previous projects as well, other projects in the country. So as we are moving on, so that event occurred on 8th of June 2016, which is exactly 5 years ago. And for many of us would still might be thinking, wait, 5 years finished so fast? I was there, I attended the full program and the festival, and I enjoyed very much. But now looking back, did 5 years actually finish so fast? So, can you tell us a little of what the project how the project would have grown, and what are some of the achievements from that time to now?
Well, everything, as I mentioned earlier, everything comes with a package, and because we are living in the material world, we are not out of the material world, we are still within the material world. So sometimes the material anarthas and difficulties may even affect the progress, or may be part of what we may even say the achievement of a project. The rivalry and envy and competitive spirit and all that might be. So we would have achieved some of that immediately after the temple opened. We would have achieved, quite some licks and, quite some, negative feedback, which is part of the growing, part of, evolving, bring certain things to your attention. So the whole 2017, 2018, we had to go through some kind of a purificatory rites, maybe, some kind of extra anxiety and look deep down within. And I think since 2019 to now, for the last 3 years, the project have made great leaps and bounds in the sense of training and education, and the establishing the project more and more in the minds or in the hearts of many well-wishers, many villagers, many friends, many relatives across Guyana, especially within the East Coast, Georgetown, East Bank vicinity, overseas also. And of course, then the pandemic would have hit us. We tried to start the dormitory facility. It worked for some time. Then, the coronavirus pandemic came in. All the students, went home, online studies. And since then, we would have added up a new level of preaching and promoting Krishna consciousness, which I think with the starting of the Bhakti Shastri program here, with His Grace Baldev Prabhu and the Chaupati devotees, along with yourself, I think that, that would have really, create a whole new dimension, which we didn't thought of. We never thought that, the whole project, the whole, preaching of Krishna consciousness and training to fulfill that, to bring about some kind of connection with the name Hare Krishna Study Center, that it, would have created such an impact. The ongoing Bhagavatam festival, Sunday program. Now you can actually attend Sunday program, and other than those who come, face to face here, or come, attend the program here in person at the temple, you can now, attend Sunday program on Zoom, Facebook, or YouTube. Never we could have imagined that before. And now we reach, what to speak of, 40, 50, 100, 120 persons that used to be here. Now we are reaching hundreds of people. And then again, the YouTube program is up, the videos are up there. So even afterward, persons can look back, and, people can still actually take in the Sunday program or all these different functions that we are having. And more the temple investing in improving the facility here. We have done within the last 5 years many improvement works. Even now, we are working, for the last year, we are working in investing heavily into the whole Snack It restaurant gift shop, which we are the final stage of that, purchasing ticket for devotee cooks to come from India. And, still continue to do, look for, equipments, kitchen equipments, oven, and, all, looking to improve the standard of reaching ISO standard of cooking and giving out prasadam. So there's, a whole long list of, training more and more preachers, more and more kirtanyas. The whole idea of Bhakti Shastri is that some years ago we thought that, take devotees to India, that in a small new project like this, if you have, 10, 15 devotees who went to India, who did leadership and management, Bhakti Shastri, ILS, and all these things, that how beneficial it would have been for the project. So now the mood is that, to train devotees in the techniques of Prabhupada books, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, and all that. So that for us as managers, the intention is that if you have more devotees who understand Prabhupada's intent, Prabhupada's mission, and the whole mood of this Krishna consciousness movement, that it will become much more easier for manage to preach, because you will be managing devotees who, by and large, or to some extent, you will have that conviction that they share the same understanding, that we all share the same understanding. So yes, there have been many achievements. Some of the achievements you can see, some of them you cannot see.
So there was a lot of developments, if I understand you clearly, throughout these years, and that didn't come just like that, because if I understand you correctly, like I thought that a lot of the anxieties, a lot of the difficulties would have been leading up to the inauguration and opening the temple and the project, and I thought it was a smooth flow.
No.
I thought it would have been a smooth flow.
Try to understand that creation is easy. And destruction is also easy. Creating something like Lord Brahma in charge of creation, by the will of the Supreme Lord, quickly, create. Then, Lord Shiva destroy, quickly Lord Shiva perform his dance of destruction. And what to speak of this building alone or anything within our life, but to maintain that. takes ordeal, takes, mood of goodness, takes quite a bit. Therefore, Lord Vishnu, personally take the responsibility. He didn't delegate that to some other person, anyone else. Lord Vishnu himself take the responsibility of maintenance. So keep that in mind that, to build something and to start something, it's easy. But to maintain that thing, years come, years go, day in, day out, that takes a level.
So as you were talking about training and all that thing, I was thinking like Srila Prabhupada, he would say sometimes that we need to boil the milk. And I think that is what you are referring to, that it takes, it's not just about having a beautiful building and all that.
I'm being criticized to boil the milk. So, if you tell people, we are boiling the milk, come boy and girl, that we have to, really thicken this process. And thickening the process means training. Training means iron out the rough edges, shaving out the rough edges. What do you call this machine? Sanding, the sanding machine, sanding out the rough edges. But many of us wants to hold on. Right? We want to hold on to those rough edges. They are near and dear to us. And if anyone try to come and interfere with that, then we become rebellious.
So one thing that came to my mind also, I was thinking like throughout these last few years at the university, that's a whole different side by itself. But just one thing that we always, my classmates and myself, we always keep in mind, like, there's a saying that diamonds are made under pressure. Right, and that is like you're talking about that whole sanding thing and go through. You don't just get gold like that. It's the process to get gold, to
People
obtain
who
gold.
want cheap gold, they can get imitation jewelry freely, no problem. You can get it.
So as we are coming down to this interview, I'm just Sudarshan, my colleague here, he's steering me. Just a couple of days, just after Tuesday's program, he was mentioning to me that night. Why I didn't join the temple then. I was available then. I could have been part of this most amazing festival and everything that went on. Now I am so saddened and so grieved that I just have to look at some videos or hear what went on. So he was thinking, he was asking me, like, would there be any time again or more upcoming projects where I can have the full experience?
I think technology reached to the level that you can put him in some of those videos. So he can feel that he was there, or so some of those.
We can Photoshop him.
But the important thing is that for all of us and for many people who will come in the future, we have to see the right time is the right time. Whenever Krishna make that arrangement for us, and we get the opportunity. Now that he's getting that opportunity, his eagerness, his wanting, his craving, desire to engage in devotional service and to bring about even more grand festival than that he will never feel that he would have missed out anything, because pandemic will finish and we will have huge festival, just like if you go online right now and you saw yesterday New York Ratha Yatra, like never ever before. So don't worry, Sudarshan, the festival, when festival comes, you might think, well, boy, better stay home,
So thank you for sharing. It was wonderful to hear from you. And I thought that, you see, we are getting much more greater insights, much more depth than, just by seeing some clips or just hearing. But it was very nice to hear from you of what went on and so many other beautiful points that came out of this discussion. So is there any final message that you would like to leave with us as we are at this hallmark?
Yep. Definitely I will say that it's an important project, and throughout these days from last Sunday to now, especially last Tuesday evening, hearing from His Grace Rajrishi Prabhu, Shanta Vigra Prabhu, and many other devotees who would have spoken, and even the messages from my dear Guru Maharaj, Srila Vibhav Prabhu, and the letters from Srila Prabhupada, I would say that a message that I would want to say or give at this point in time, if we cannot add to the mission and to the preaching or to the establishing of Krishna consciousness, don't take away. If you cannot add to the process, bring something on the table. Fine if you cannot bring something on the table, but don't take away. Don't let our lower modes take away from Prabhupada's mission in any shape, in any way or form. And this is very important, because sometimes we perform activities, and in bygone days, and I use bygone days maybe 20 years ago, they used to have this term of pushing spokes between the wheel. So if you have a cycle and there is spokes, and you push one you get one spokes and you push it within that cycle or that bike wheel, then you crumble everything. So don't try to push spokes in the wheel of progress. If you cannot be part of progress, and even if you cannot bear to see progress, go somewhere else. That you will never see progress, so that you will never become envious of anyone. And in that way you will save yourself. In that way you will do yourself some good. Because if I will become envious, if I will become irritable, if I will become competitive, if I will become passionate, and if I will go against someone just to see Sachisuta or Sudarshan or anyone's success, then I might as well find myself in some jungle or something, that I will never see success of anyone. I will only see myself, so that I will never find fault, and I will never push spokes or pull down anyone or pull down. Whatever we are trying to do here is to establish and fulfill Prabhupada's desire and Prabhupada's will for Guyana and for Georgetown. And not that we are the best in understanding Prabhupada's intent and but somehow or the other we are blessed to be here at this point in time. We're trying to do our best, make the best offering that we can ever make. So that's, a little message that I have, that if you cannot add, don't take away. Thank you very much.
So I think that's a very crucial point, and for all of us to take home and try to internalize more and more, because definitely each and every one of us can contribute. It's not a question that we cannot contribute. Krishna has given us, different abilities, different skills, talents, skill sets, however you want to put it, and each one of us have an equal opportunity to contribute in our little way, or for some of us in bigger ways, whatever the case might be. But it's all working together to see that the different visions from time to time of the project manifest. And we also, as practitioners of Krishna consciousness, we get the opportunity to grow by our coming forward and trying to help. Some of us, it might be like the squirrel in Lord Ram's pastimes. Other persons, their capacity might be like Hanuman-like. But in the eyes of Lord Krishna, in the eyes of Lord Ram, the benefits and the blessings that comes through that is the same. It's not that you have to be a Hanuman to please Krishna, or no, we should never think like that. So in that way, we all have equal opportunity, and I would like to encourage that we take it, because we know how life is these days. Life is very fragile, and we have to handle with prayers. So thank you once again, Prabhupada Prabhu. It was indeed wonderful. It was great to hear from you, and hopefully we can have more of these sessions.
More of the hot seat. I think before we go for Artik, we would like to hear from a few more devotees who would have been part of important aspect of leading up to the moving over and part of the, you know, ceremony itself. So if Hari Kirtan and them, if Hari Kirtan and them can really, you know, maybe organize that, you can probably call in Vishaka first, and then we'll hear a little from Shuddha Prem also. And let's see how our time goes before we go move towards the darshan and artik to their lordship. So Uncle Jagnarine wants to ask a question? Okay, so yes.
Hare Krishna. So this is a question from our dear Jagnaring Prabhu here. So this is for you, Prabhu. It says, in all situations that seems to be confusing or rather tumultuous, how is it that you seems to be the calm among the storm, amidst or among the storm? Tell us the secret.
Do not lose track of your goal or your vision. If you lose track or you get sidetracked with all the storms and all the difficulties that will unfold in your lives, or in my life, or in our lives, then easily we'll take another path. We'll cut and run, or we'll divert. We'll go and take something else. So we have to be that determined, at least, or have that amount of little conviction, or big conviction, you may say, to never lose track of, of your goal, your vision, your plan. So there will be tests on the path. So you have to prepare and expect that there will be tests. So as long as you know that there will be tests, that there will be difficulties, and you prepare your mind and you gear up for them, you will go forward no matter what happens, no matter what difficulties that are staying in the face. And apparently, in a steady way, you will, as you were saying, within your minds, things might affect you, things might bother us based on our level of advancement in Krishna consciousness and based on our maturity in this world and living in this body. But all in all, it takes an ordeal, it takes a level, and these are all part of building, one for greater things in the future. For if we never actually experience difficulties, if we never really go through, testing situation, we may not even know our strength. What to speak of, so many things else. So, very nice, pertinent question. We can elaborate a lot more, but the main thing is, do not lose focus of, our goal. Hare Krishna. So we'll hear from Vishaka and then Shuddha Prem.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are still in the mood of celebrating the most joyous occasion of the 5th anniversary of moving the Lord into their new home. For me personally, it was an amazing experience. Rupa Goswami Prabhu I was assigned by the priest with a very, 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 very long list of items that we were supposed to get and prepared. And I remember that there was the boys, the brahmacharis, who would have helped in so many ways to take the pressure off. To get the things, some of the names we didn't know, we consulted Google We had to zoom in on these pictures and make sure that we know what it looked like. So we went to some of the corners that had some grass or trees and make sure that we were that we were getting the right thing. And it was again an amazing experience. Even having all the boys, Shuddha Prem, he would have been there all the time. Jayagora, Jananivas, they would have given so much. I mean, everyone was just a part. Everyone had their own department, and everyone was just everything was just equally distributed. I remember when there were so many responsibilities, of course. We came up with the idea of cooking 108 preparations, which is something we never did here. And we were thinking it's just a few of us there, and there's so much to do. What will we do? So we started the devotees around the country. We started coming up with names. We had Mother Malini from Esikebo, which she did a tremendous job. She did a very, very wonderful job of just getting a few ladies with her. And I remember we had like 4 or 5 different stoves. My kitchen upstairs in my house, and the whole temple room at the old temple room, that is La Tortine, and there were stoves everywhere, and there were wares, and there were vegetables, and you know, everybody was just cooking, and it was such a blast. Looking at the pictures that they took. Now we know what went on, because we were just behind making everything happening, and we didn't know. Well, now this is how it looked. This is it was such an amazing. See all the priests, they were getting dressed, and see how different they look. It's something that we have never seen before. Coming over here, and I remember one thing that stuck in my mind, and I was hoping that nobody would pick on it, but Prabhu did just now. I remember rushing into the altar when they had finished doing the Abhishek, and I saw the deities on the altar, and I thought that they were smiling. And then it dawned on me, that they're not coming home, my home. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, we had to boil the milk on the pot, and but it was quite an experience, and I was really happy that I was part of that. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunamitamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Hare Krishna. So, if I say I don't know how we did what we did, you might think I'm crazy. Because when I look back at the pictures of what would have really happened, I can't imagine that I was a part of something like that. It was from in the beginning, before Rupa Goswami Prabhu was here, we had that list, that very huge list of items. All of us, well, for myself, I was like a green mango. I didn't know anything. None of us, I think, had any experience of such a yagya, of getting things together and organizing. We had many sleepless nights. Jananivas Prabhu, Jayagora, Bajagoranga Prabhu was there. Harantidev Prabhu also was there. We had many sleepless nights. The reason why is because when we were trying to get the kunds together, they were all falling apart. before the day. And the night before the yagya, it was still happening. We had no idea what to do. But by some mercy, by some blessing, I think Krishna, the Lord really wanted to come to the new home. So by some magic, everything worked out. The next morning when we came, everything was together. And everything was nicely done. Time was going. Anxiety level was going up because the time was coming close for the ceremony. I had to leave because myself and Haridev Prabhu, we had an exam that same day. And Rupa Goswami was like, what will I do? Because he was depending on us to be there to assist him. So I was in the exam thinking about what is going on here rather than, and to be honest, when I came out from the exam, I had no idea what I did on that exam, honestly to God. I just wanted to be back here to not miss out from all the wonderful things that was happening that day. One thing that I would have really admired and can never forget was to see all the brahmanas, how they were well dressed, how the Hawan area was so well put together. Everything was so uniquely put together. Everything was on point. Everything had to be accurate and precise. Rupa Goswami was very precise with everything that he was doing. Even when reciting the mantras, there was certain, what should I say, like mudras and the level of the how he have to speak. And everything was so unique that day. That is all I think I can remember from that day. Listening to all the mantras, seeing all the brahmanas fully well dressed, and if you could see, I call it like elephant ears they all have there. So it was very unique, something that we had never experienced. So I think that is all I have to say. I wish that we can have this, maybe a next temple in Guyana, and we can have this again. I hope that Prabhupada Prabhu can inspire to open the next temple and have us experience this once again. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Madhavishaka and Shri Prabhu. So invite everyone to please join us for Artik. Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra. Shri Shri Paramakarnitai Gaura Chandra Ki. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prashachari Shatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prashachari Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Sari Gora Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Parama Karuna Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राध कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन मथुराम की जय, श्री मायपुर नवद्वीप धाम की, श्री गंगमाय यमुना माय की, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद श्री श्री परम कर्ण निताय गौर चंद्र के, श्री श्री परम कर्ण निताय गौर चंद्र के, श्री श्री निताय गौर चंद्र की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद. All glory is the sum of praise. All glory is the sum of devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So just before we do Nrsimha Pranam, I just like to beg of all the devotees that we're going to make a continuous special prayer for one of our good friend and well-wisher, donor to the temple, one of our dear stalwart Mataji that would have given so much to the temple here from Cane Grove. Her name is Thakuri Duki, or we normally call her Sati. So Auntie Sati is suffering from the coronavirus, and the family are requesting that we continue to make some offerings and prayers on her behalf. So as we will be doing Lord Nrsimhadev Pranam, we can keep her in our mind and pray for her speedy recovery. Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narasingaya.
Namaste Narasingaya.
Praladhaladharine. Hiranyakashe Purvaksha.
Hiranyakashe Purvaksha.
Shilatankana Kalayine.
Shilatankana Kalayine.
Ito Nisimha Parato Nisimha.
To Nisimha Parato.
Yato yato yamita to nisimha.
Yato yato yamita to nisimha.
Bahir nisimha, rirahe nisimha.
Bahir nisimha, rirahe nisimha.
Narasingha marim sharanam prapade.
Narasingha marim sharanam.
Tavakara Kamalavare Naka Adhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tano Bringa Keshavareta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Kalavare Naka Adhuta Shringa Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Shavarita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Nrsimhare Jaya Nrsimhare Jaya Nrsimhare Jaya Nrsimhare
Jaya Nrsimhare 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 Hare Jaya Narasimha Hare
Jaya Nara Hare Jaya Nara Hare Jaya Nara Hare Jaya Nara Hare
Jaya Nara Hare Jaya Nara Hare Jaya Nara Hare Jaya Nara Hare
Jaya Bhakta Prahalad Jaya Bhakta Prahalad Jaya Bhakta Prahalad Jaya Bhakta Prahalad
Jaya Bhakta Prahalad Jaya Bhakta Prahalad Jaya
Bhakta Prahalad Jaya Bhakta Prahalad Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai Bhakta Shravani Prahalad Maharaj ki jai Hare Krishna. So once again we want to thank all the devotees who attended this morning's Sunday feast, especially on our